100 meters from you. Okay, we tried to put some advertising banners under the wheels. Francois, it's finished. Please, can somebody come?
Okay, no problem, Robert. Somebody is coming to take you with Cat, no problem.
After years of lobbying, Kenya regained the World Rally Championship status in 2019, but the event could not run till 2021 due to the coronavirus pandemic. The current format has seen the event evolve from a marathon to a sprint.
It's quite special, 70 years of Safari Rally, it's even pre-independence, so it's, and the old days Safari Rally where it went around the whole country in Easter, it really means, and it's properly close to most Kenyans of the old era, and now with you guys, with the WRC coming back now, hopefully it'll continue this sort of special event. It's 70 years, platinum. It's quite something.
After events in 2021, 2022 and 2023 all taking place in June, the event will resume its Easter sport in 2024.
The beauty of the rally, that's the joy and tears in equal measure. Now, Kenya has achieved a major milestone in the number of medals it has won in international competitions, especially at the Olympic Games and World Athletics Championships. Now, Kenya has won a total of 7 medals, 1 gold, 1 silver, and 5 bronze medals in boxing, and 106 medals, that is 34 gold, 41 silver, and 31 bronze medals in athletics.
Coming up, 105, Dita From is there. The teenage Czech
Kenya has achieved a major milestone in the number of medals it has won at international competitions, especially at the Olympic Games and athletics competition, since Wilson Kiprugut won Kenya its first medal at international competitions in 1964, the same period when Kenya attained internal safe rule.
Australia, Duval is finding, and Kiprugut is struggling, and Duval is going to take the gold medal. Duval beautifully executed right through. Duval wins. Kiprugut second.
Kiprugut won a bronze medal in an 800 meters race at the Tokyo Olympics, becoming the first Kenyan and African to win an Olympic medal. Kiprugut's medal was considered valuable because it inspired other Kenyan athletes to compete in the Olympics.
Nilifanya kazi ile natakiwa, nilijaribu kabisa wakati huo wa sport, nilifanya ya kutosha.
Naftali Temu was the first Kenyan to win a gold medal at the Olympics when he won the 10,000 meters race at the 1968 Summer Olympics in the Mexico City. Since 1964, when Kenya won its first medal at the Olympics, the country has won a total of 113 Olympic medals through 2022, including 35 gold medals, 42 silver, 36 bronze.
Outside that here, but it's Kipyegon's gold, as expected. Well, Teti the silver for Ethiopia.
Kenya has won 7 medals in boxing, but all of its 106 other medals are due to excellent runners led by its first great runner, Kipchoge Keino. Keino won a total of 4 medals, with 2 golds and 2 silver between 1964 and 1972. Kenya has only missed the Olympics twice, in 1976 and 1980, which they boycotted.
26-30 and he does! 26-27
Kenya is ranked 37th in the all-time Olympic game medal table. In terms of medal won in the most recent Summer Olympics, in 2008, 2012 and 2016 have been Kenya's most successful, producing 42 medals between them.
Time 30-48, just behind Masai in second place, and Kenya get 1, 2 and 3.
The number of Kenyan women winning Olympic medal has risen dramatically from their first in 1996 to more than half of the Kenyan medals in 2016. Boxing and athletics are the only disciplines that have won Kenya medals at the Olympics.
Mary Mora reacting to the pressure of RJ Wilson. And Adele Tracy of Jamaica flying through on the inside, but it is only 2 automatically through to the final. And those positions going to Mary Moore of Kenya.
Kenya has won a total of 7 medals, 1 gold, 1 silver and 5 bronze medals in boxing, and 106 medals, 34 gold, 41 silver and 31 bronze medals in athletics.
Will not be caught. This is justice for the man who couldn't do himself justice in Eugene. He takes the gold for Kenya. 10.02 into a slight headwind, minus 0.9.
All right, and on that note, news done, sports done. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Victor Lowe. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we are going to get straight into the viewpoint. Daniel Orogo will be joining me here, and Wilson Sosion, who is former NAT Secretary General. Right about now, let's take a break. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Did Ricardo call you? Why did he call and look for you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I heard you.
You ever once thought that Magdalena spends all day in that room of hers and that she's the only one among us who seems to be going crazy?
Your beloved brother-in-law and all of Puebla will find out who you really are.
What are you doing,
No, what were you looking for?
Magdalena put that there so that you would start to doubt me.
She is a very dangerous woman. Music can be magical. It's the soulful life and gives immense peace to us. It has a powerful therapeutic effect on the human psyche. Whether secular or gospel. There's a song for everyone, every occasion, and every emotion. God bless you.
Okay, so let's take a look at the traffic situation in the city, starting with Nairobi as always. This is the capital city of Nairobi. If you are still in the house, holiday is over. Can we go out? No fanye kazi. So let me start with the Thika Road. Thika Road today is a bit better. Thika Road is moving, okay. It starts at around Madari Mental Hospital. That's you come towards the Mudhaiga Square there. That's where the traffic is. But the entire stretch of Thika Road looks okay. I think because almost everyone has gone home and the holiday mood has set in. This is where we are. The outside of coming all the way from Westlands roundabout, you're coming from this side looking pretty fine as you come towards the National Museum, where there was a lot of traffic yesterday. Now that is moving pretty fine. Now, it's quite surprising that the entire city looks okay today. This is what it looks like. This is Raila Odinga Way, otherwise known as Mbagathi Way, for those who know that. Looks okay. Langata Road, pretty fine. That is what it looks like. There you go. What about Ngong Road? That is the Southern Bypass. Ngong Road, looking okay. This is what it looks like. There's no traffic even at the notorious Junction Mall here. All looking okay. This is what it's like. So let me just summarize in one word. Okay. So far, so good. Mombasa Road, also fine. So if you are in town, you want to get out, if you are somewhere in the estate or coming into the CBD, Nairobi looks pretty good. What about the traffic situation in Mombasa? Mombasa, are you ready for us? We are here once again. The entire Nyali Road highway looking pretty fine, all the way from Hala Park, coming to around Kongowea Market. Today is looking pretty good. All right. After that, coming to New Nyali Bridge, okay. Kila kitu iko sawa. As you can come see here, all looking fine. As you come from the other side of Makupa Bridge and to around Makupa and around Kenya Coast, National Polytechnic there, all moving pretty fine as you come to the CBD. What about the Likoni Ferry Channel? It looks okay today. Apart from the other side of the Mombasa Island, this side of Likoni Ferry, Likoni, no much traffic today to report about. So far, that is what it looks like. So Mombasa, again, thank you so much for being ready for us. Our camera lady Njoki will be there very soon. Asipote. Beach Boys, tafadhali. Okay. Kisumu City, again, so far so good. I really want to understand what's happening in the country today. Guys, holiday is over, or are we in the spirit of Christmas? We've started it, but we still have to work. We're still working. Okay. Even if I refresh, take a look at that. There's nothing. So the traffic situation in the country is basically looking okay, looks fine. So as you come all the way from Riyadh down to, to Kondele, it looks okay. The other side of Car Wash, people have been asking what's Car Wash? There's a place called Car Wash, Kondele Car Wash. There's so many car wash outlets and enterprises around this place. That's why it's called Car Wash. And the only car wash that started here started way, way, way back. So there was a car wash around this place. That's why it's called Kondele Car Wash. That's where we... All right, okay. I had to censor that. Sawa. So looking fine as you get outside the city. Kisumu towards the National Airport. Again, looking pretty fine. Outside towards Ahero and Rabur, outside looking pretty okay. Now, let me take you through that's so far as traffic is concerned. And we'll be taking a look now. All right, so pretty fast, let me take you through the front page of our local daily, starting with what we have here on the magic wall. On the front page of the People Daily, there we have it. Kenya turns 60. That is what's on the front page of the People Daily. Kenya turns 60. It was colorful with school kids, not even school kids per se, but children gracing that particular event. It's always a very beautiful thing for kids to come out just to enjoy, donning in green. It was white, green, and red. So far, it was okay. Kenya turns 60. And the story says that rich history of highs and lows. At the dawn of independence on December 12th, 1963, Kenya faced many challenges, including poverty, ignorance, and disease. As stated by founding President Jomo Kenyatta, over 6 decades, Presidents Daniel Arap Moi, Mwai Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta, and now William Ruto have steered the nation through tough times on the journey to self-determination. That is Kenya turns 60. It was colorful indeed. It was colorful indeed. Let me take you on the second pages there. And again, you can see it was again, several people were featured. Started with Faith Kipyegon and Kelvin named Athlete of the Year, crowning their colorful season. Now, Faith also accorded highest civilian honor in Kenya. Makofi to them, to our athletes. All right, so country opens its doors to the world. That is what is here. As per the presidential directive, President William Ruto said that visa rule to be revoked in January. You can see, this is what it is. Beautiful photo there. The president marching in between the soldiers. Now, foreigners arriving in the country will only need to be registered in online portal, says President at Jamhuri Day celebrations. That is a story that is making a lot of talks on page 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the People Daily. It's just too good to be there. All right. Visa rule to be revoked in January, as President directed yesterday. It's going to be effective. Again, excitement as citizens mark Freedom Day. President William Ruto leads Kenyans in celebrating the day at Uhuru Gardens. That is the story here. Event was graced by regional heads and attended by over 30,000 Kenyans. And of course, even some watched in the diaspora. And Ruto now presides the second trooping of the colors ceremony for the new 25 mechanized infantry battalion. It was colorful. It was colorful. All right? All right. So we have got pictures here of Kenyans. It was all smiles amidst gloom and whatever you see, but you can still afford a smile. Kenyans are happy people. There we have it. Kenyans are happy people. Again, it also, now that is the trooping of the color. And actually, this is now at the point now, there was a drill by the 25th Mechanized Infantry Battalion during the 2023 Jamhuri Day celebrations yesterday at the Jamhuri Gardens. It was colorful, so this is a new one. And here we have got Chief Justice Martha Koome with her deputy Philomena Mwilu looking pretty fine. Look at their outfit. They're looking beautiful. They're looking good. And now Chief Justice Martha Koome with her deputy Philomena Mwilu during the Jamhuri Day celebrations at Uhuru Gardens. It was all fanfare. The celebration, I believe, still continues countrywide in that spirit. But to the winners, congratulations once again. Again, it was again for the, it was marked across different counties, across the country, different counties. Actually, that was, they were supposed to be in all the 47 devolved units. That's where the other celebrations took place. Of course, this one is Mombasa. Mombasa Governor Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir joined the prisoners at Jela Baridi in Mvita, Mombasa County yesterday, and some of whom were pardoned by the president yesterday. Interesting. And here, an activist is arrested at Uhuru Gardens during the 2023 Jamhuri Day celebrations. This is a point I'm saying that you should not try to do certain things. You'll be escorted honorably to a safe place. I believe Mwalimu Sosion knows this pretty well. Mheshimiwa Sosion, have you ever faced such kind of events in the past? Good morning.
Good morning.
Kenya turned 60. If your country right now would be going home for retirement.
Well, indeed, yes. It's quite a period.
Okay. I'll come back to you. Just hold on that. Just hold on that. Okay. Again, still on the pictures here, I have Professor Peter Nyang' Nyong'o. This is Babalu Peter yesterday also leading members of the public at the Jomo Kenyatta Sports Ground in Kisumu. Again, the deputy president there and etc. etc. There's a lot of excitement and art. There's a lot of showcasing talent there yesterday at Uhuru Gardens. At Uhuru Gardens yesterday. Okay, so this is where we have it. Visas for foreigners abolished as Kenya marks 60th birthday. Visas for foreigners abolished as Kenya marks 60th birthday. That's where we have it. Visitors traveling into the country will only be required to obtain prior electronic travel authorization. That is the biggest news here. In the landmark decision, the president announced that beginning January, visitors to Kenya, will not require visas. Instead, an online record system will be used to keep tabs on foreigners entering the country. His declaration came 2 days after Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua told Youth Summit that Kenya was considering waiving visa fees for all visitors. So this is where we are right now as a country. And President Ruto said that Kenya was the home of humanity, a scientific fact that fills its people with pride and underscores the country's rich heritage. So the reason why that is happening is, one, to boost trade, and of course there's an aspect of smart choices. In places of visa, all foreigners traveling into the country will obtain prior electronic travel authorization. The decision effectively marks Kenya the second country in Africa after Rwanda to waive visa fees and requirements for foreigners. That is what you have. In October, President Ruto said that trade among East African community countries had grown significantly due to the removal of visa requirements and tariffs within the bloc. That has been a matter of discussion for many years, tariff barriers. And he is the second president after Rwanda to effect that. So because of this, smart choices, a strong shield that, again, outlining some of the successes measures under his administration, he said that in the last 6 months, the country's wealth, also known as the gross domestic product, or GDP, had grown at 5.4%, making the 29th fastest growing economy in the world. All right. So what does it really mean as per put out there by the Star? You can take a look at that. What it really means that the decision announced by President William Ruto during his Jamhuri Day celebration is expected to have far-reaching implications for the country's development, particularly in terms of tourism arrivals, economic and inclusion and trade. But that does not mean that if you are coming to do business in the country, then you'll not have business permit. That will be required. Beneficiaries of Inua Jamii access funds, that, etc., you can take a look at what you have. Ruto foreign trips are good for Kenya. That is according to Mudavadi, Prime Cabinet Secretary. That is, President's frequent visits to other countries have been criticized as a strain on national resources. But Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi says that it's all for the good of Kenya. Sakaja pledges daily meals for all Nairobi pupils at only 5 shillings. I will ask Daniel Orogo if we should go back to school and start enjoying this. Life is hard out there, so if you get a meal for 5 shillings. For those who attended UON, there's a place called Stella Winja. Stella Winja. Stella Winja is some hotel there where you'd go with 15 shillings and have a complete meal. Mheshimiwa Sosion,
and do you know Stella Winja?
Yes.
Do you know the person of Stella Winja?
You mean it to tell the country?
Stella Winja was a student at the University of Nairobi.
Yes.
And while she was walking through Lillian Towers,
yes,
when Lillian Towers was being constructed, debris fell on her and she died. And that's the memory of Stella Winja at the University of Nairobi.
Very good.
So Lillian Towers,
yes,
took away the life of a young Stella Winja student then at the University of Nairobi when it was being constructed.
Perfect.
So it's important you get to know.
Perfect.
The origin and the source.
Clearly. I'm so sure if Daniel did not know
I didn't. I occasionally enjoyed meals at that particular place.
Stella Winja was relatively cheap.
I mean, it's affordable, pocket-friendly for students there.
50 shillings, you're done.
You're done with a good meal.
Right.
But I think it's good to acknowledge that kind of history.
Yes.
That was not really
Which year was that, Mheshimiwa?
That was 70s.
70s?
Yes.
Long time ago.
Long time.
Daniel, after
when
this
University of Nairobi, when University of Nairobi was the only university in Kenya. Yeah.
All right.
Great.
So, comrades, now you know. Okay. Very well. So I think that marks that particular point. Before we continue, all right, so let's come back home and now see what's there. That was the front page of this time of the People Daily. Good morning, gentlemen, once again. Daniel, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Happy 60th birthday.
Been a pleasure here. I think it's good to appreciate where the country has been through and where we are as a country. I think we acknowledge this with a sense of pride.
Yes.
And any patriotic Kenyan, regardless of any background or any diversities, really needs to appreciate that the country has gone through, steps and milestones and sometimes challenges to be at the level where we are.
Yeah.
So I think generally we really need to appreciate, as the nationhood that we saw being portrayed yesterday.
Yeah. All right. So let me because we are still here on the front page. There we go. I'll take you that. Okay, I'll come back to the front page of the People Daily, but still on the front page of the Star newspaper. Ruto's visa order to bolster tourism. Let me take you through that front page very quickly. Kenya Kwanza administration is under pressure to deliver on its pledges, but now President says that no foreigner will be required to obtain a visa starting January. Mwalimu, a step towards the right direction? Front page,
and,
People Daily.
Particularly as the designate Chief Administrative Secretary, Ministry of Tourism,
yes,
I can confirm that the country is headed in the right direction in getting the number of tourists within the country. And you see, for a country to earn economically from tourism, the number of tourists must be 50% the national population. So if we are 50 million, Kenya has the potentiality of getting at least 25 million visitors every year, annually, for many reasons. And Kenya has diverse products in tourism. Other than being a regional economic hub, global economic hub, and also its centrality gives it the best opportunity to be visited. And it's a reasonable country for investment because of the quality of human resource and labor that's available within the country.
Yes.
So two things need to be done. One, removing visa restrictions, which the president has done. And this, the president should be lauded. This is a real game changer, because going to open the country to get connected strongly to the region, and when I talk of the region, I'm not talking about East Africa, the African continent.
Yeah.
Because intracontinental trade is important and is going to determine the growth of our economy. And also connection to the resource markets all over the world. We saw the other day Swedish tourists shifting out of Kenya to Tanzania because of one reason, rigorous process of getting the visa. Now that the visas are open, we expect the source markets and tourists to stream into the country. And number two, the other thing that needs to be done is to abolish other barriers, particularly the air travels. The airspace must be liberalized, so that if we have Ethiopian Airlines landing in Kisumu, others landing in Eldoret, others landing in Mombasa, allow all the other airlines in the world to freely visit the different destinations in Kenya. If that is opened, then we are going to see a vibrant Kenyan economy that can leap closer to the first world.
Right.
We must transform ourselves and bypass the traditional processes of industrializing the country through manufacturing, and we get straight to industrialize the service industry, get into the service industry, that of tourism, and it's going to change a lot. And remember, one tourist supports 6 jobs. One tourist supports 6 jobs. So if we have close to minimum 10 million, the effect will not be felt immediately. It will grow with time, because then this is going to compel investors to expand hotels, expand infrastructure, expand the products. The counties will even have a new frontier to invest in terms of tourism. And there'll be different types of tourism: medical tourism, agricultural tourism, and ecotourism, other than the traditional tourism. Once that is done, then in 10-15 years, we will be able to realize optimum benefits of all this. So this is a real transformative agenda and a shift to proper service industry and an economy that guarantees employment to everybody. And that speaks to the bottom up. How can we have tourism to really resonate with the people at the bottom and support the bottom up? We must allow those guests to come in. We cannot be a country of class tourists, exclusive tourism. It's only meant for the rich from the global north, visiting just to sightsee in the game parks. We must also
but
open up
is it an open visa?
for other what we call budget tourists.
Just a minute,
yes.
Is it an open visa for tourists, for students coming to study in Kenya?
It's an open visa for people coming to Kenya for different things. Those coming for, you see, visitors to Kenya are classified as tourists, whether they're coming for conferences, whether they're coming for private visits, whether they're coming to tour, to tour destinations and in Kenya, where they're coming for leisure. All of them are classified as visitors and are tourists, and they come, they spend, and they engage in a lot of useful economic activities. And this is one way of ensuring that we even have dollars available through and through. It's if we don't have much commodities to export, we can earn more for a lot of foreign exchange, significant. That even that can triple the income tenfold from exporting agricultural goods and other goods from tourism. So tourism is going to be the biggest foreign exchange and income to this economy.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Daniel.
And so there's reason to remove restrictions, but government should go further and abolish even air restriction, and that is what's needed in the entire continent.
We'll discuss more that, Mulimo. We'll discuss more that.
Open up boundaries and allow free movement of people, so that a flight to Abuja from Nairobi can be very low by about the current market by 4 times.
All right, thank you. David, let me get Daniel. David, let me get you. Ruto's visa order to bolster tourism.
A lot of progress, and I agree with what Honorable Sossion has just mentioned. Let it be known that we are doing this in the background of an African continental free trade, agreement that a number of countries, ratified, especially in Africa, to allow for that, free trade, the intercontinental free trade, to happen within the continent. This is a major boost because, again, the clarity is that from January, if you want to travel to Kenya for any reason, then you, except for the reason that are building economy and people's health, then you're allowed to visit this country. One, in the matters of trade and tourism sector, like Mheshimiwa has talked about, I think that is a good progress. We've had countries who opened up their country for those who want to visit. I mean, Seychelles did that. I mean, before even Rwanda, Seychelles opened the space. Mauritius opened the space, and then Rwanda, Benin as well. The countries who've allowed people to move in their countries for tourism. Different forms of tourism, others for educational purposes, for medical purposes, and of course, I was reading yesterday about the article that had been produced by the African Development Bank on how their prospects of economic boost for countries that are visa free or allow visitors to visit their country for different reasons, as opposed to those who are still restricted in terms of visa. Then there is a difference, because then the countries that have allowed people to move in through enjoys the freedom that comes and economic growth and boost that comes with investment, trade, and tourism. However, I think everything has got its own, advantages and disadvantages. And partly the head of state belabored to explain this yesterday. Then how would that come with the security issues in the background? Because then we shouldn't forget about that. Then when a space is opened, then also we onboard the baggage of, terrorists or people who are not meant to do good, using the opportunities, to carry on their own ill-advised activities within those countries. But I am happy that even before such an order or such a decision is made, then there's an elaborate processes of checks and balances of making sure that people who are coming to this country are well known well in advance. This is exactly what sometimes visa application process tries to do, to know exactly who is coming to such a country and for what reason and how long they are going to stay in those countries, and who are they going to stay with? Who's invited them? What is their letters of invitation? So I think these are particular processes that, even though these are, a decision is made in this country, this really needs to be looked into very carefully and very keenly. And I hope, the government is keenly tracking this to make sure that we do not onboard, particularly that. But again, mine is also just to say that, our policies are really trying to get into, very well updated. Yeah. And if you find sometimes, then we're also able to discuss then what is our, our foreign policies, what is our, how then do we place ourselves as a tourist destination in this country. I like the speech with the head of state yesterday, that even this is just welcoming people home, marketing Kenya as an archaeological, site, yes, as an origin of human race, as to when you travel in this country, you are going back home. So these messages really reason well with humanity still this time. So I agree with that decision, and it's a good boost to this country.
Let's take a break, and we come back. I still have got 2 more papers to take you through, and of course, still continue with the discussion. Stay with us.
In a world filled with uncertainty, there is one thing we can always count on: the power of compassion and generosity. Every day, families in Kenya face unimaginable challenges and hardships. They struggle to put food on the table, provide shelter for their loved ones, and access basic health care. But today, you have the power to make a difference. By just contributing 1 shilling and 50 cents from your airtime, your generosity can provide access to sanitary pads, nutritious food, clean water, education, and life-saving medical care to those who need it most. To support this cause, please tune in to your favorite radio station under the KBC umbrella for step-by-step instructions on how to subscribe. KBC Helping Hands. Together, we can make a difference and bring hope to those in need.
KBC Channel 1 magazine programs strive to disseminate news and information.
Welcome to Happening in the World of Entertainment
and achievements of individuals navigating through life.
Be part of the intelligent conversation. Upper KBC Channel 1.
Related to the interest of Kenyan public on various subjects of national importance.
Keeping you up to date with the latest tech news,
challenges, and remarkable stories of individuals with disabilities.
And you have a say.
Our magazine programs empower communities with words for conversations and a common language to approach the world.
For your infotainment needs, we have a great range of programs.
All right, welcome back. And because breakfast show, we also enjoying our hot cup of coffee. Sosion akona yake, Daniel pia akona yake. This is how we are doing it.
Yeah. And coffee is nice, and Kenyan coffee is gaining global currency. And with what Rigiji is doing to reform the coffee sector and get rid of cartels in the coffee industry, then coffee farmers in Kenya should
they must be happy people.
Earn significant.
Let's enjoy our coffee, our made in Kenya. This
Kenyan
is,
coffee.
Yeah, this is it. Yes. All right, this is how we do it. Karibu sana to the show.
Not only Kenyan tea, Kenyan coffee and Kenyan tea is remarkably a brand.
It has a market outside the world.
Globally. So,
globally.
Yes,
so
globally.
wherever I am asked to probably give a gift, normally they ask me don't bring anything, but bring me tea or coffee, Kenyan tea and coffee.
Well, okay.
Yes.
That's why we are enjoying ours here. But this coffee. There's nothing. It's real coffee here.
So we should be proud of our coffee farmers.
We are very.
And they should earn well.
Asante. All right. So now that you're still having your coffee, let me take you through the front page, Mwalimu. Ruto, Kenya is on right track. President says that the country is out of danger and economy is on a stable footing. And he says that, yes, Ruto, Kenya is on right track. Economy debt says that difficult and painful sacrifices have pulled the country from the brink of debt distress. On taxation, the president says that he defended tax measures, including housing levy and removal of subsidies as necessary, as well as he has vowed to support the war on graft, saying that no single shilling shall be lost through theft and embezzlement. He also said that he is rooting for housing plan and as a massive, deliberate and systematic job creation mechanism. And finally, he's opened doors for our borders, by saying that beginning January 2024, Kenya will be a visa-free country, easing travel for visitors globally. Ruto, Kenya is on the right track. Mwalimu.
Yeah, indeed, right, on the right track. There was a lot of noise about the taxes, which really was misrepresented by critics, and it's very easy to whip up negative emotions among the people in terms of taxation. But the tax regime that was adopted, and it is cast in the Finance Act, has stabilized the economy, and the indicators are clear. One, inflation is down to 6.8 from 9-point-something%. Those are facts. Those are facts or figures. And once you have inflation stabilizing at that level, and it should even come down further, then it's a good indicator that our economy is doing well. The GDP growth is now placed at 5.4%. And Kenya is ranked, and was stated by the president yesterday, globally as number 29, fastest growing economy globally. We chose the hard options, and the president was candid about it, that these are short-term pains for long-term gains. And I remember I told you in this show, it is like taking a patient into theater for surgery. It's a painful process, but eventually it leads to robust, good health. So I think the taxation measures were merged with the investment programs of government and also merged with the debt portfolio. Now we are out of debt distress. That statement has been made by the president. And that means we are now able to manage our debts. And while managing our debts, the government will still be able to deliver on the basic, on the essential services to the people, and also finance development programs, particularly the production sector, which has got about 5 key flagships within the framework of Kenya Kwanza government administration. And the biggest good news is that now food is available in the country. That in 1 year, the government has been able to put in a lot of efforts to reform the agriculture sector, particularly through subsidized fertilizers. And now in the tax measures that we have seen, taxes have been waived in raw materials to manufacture fertilizers, raw materials to manufacture agrochemicals, and there is further need to ensure that farmers access quality seeds, like the cotton farmers are getting the BT cotton seeds for free, the sunflower seeds. There's a lot of investment in supporting farmers in terms of input, and therefore, and we have seen in terms of maize, the staple food, the main food, that we are going to harvest 44 million metric tons. That is up from 30 million. To me, those are very significant achievements, and therefore, when the president says the country is headed in the right direction, the president is stating the truth. And I think what Kenyans need to do is to understand what is happening, and we must appreciate countries that do very well. are also subjected to a lot of taxation. And those taxes must get down to deliver on their services. And when you look at the taxation balance, it waives many areas that affects the interest of citizens. And it slabs taxes on areas that are non-essential to citizens, particularly goods being imported to the country. There is no need of importing goods that can be produced locally. So goods that can be manufactured locally and are being imported, slap it with heavy taxation. And even talking about the future of shoe industry, for example, if we have leather in this country and we can establish leather industries and manufacture shoes, why should we import shoes from outside? And if shoes must come from outside, it must be slapped with a heavy taxation. I think the economics and the approach that the government is using to transform the economy was not understood. But I think by and by, as the products of the process are felt and appreciated by the citizens, slowly and slowly they will appreciate. And let me tell you, the government under President William Ruto has not vacated the agenda of bottom-up economic transformation agenda. This is the promise that was made to Kenyans, and therefore, therefore we think, to me, from a Labour point of view, and as a Labour leader of long-standing, I think the country is headed in the right direction, both in the social front, economic front, and also in terms of general development.
All right, Daniel.
It's quite difficult to quantify. Sometimes whether it is headed to the right direction, or making a slow progress, or not making it at all. I am one of the Kenyans who sat yesterday and listened keenly to the president's speech. And while I was doing that, I was just measuring to the manifesto of the Kenya Kwanza and what was promised. I think normally when I sit here, I said, we give the due where it's supposed to be given, Victor. And you've known very well that the objectivity is that we agree that there is some progress that have been made by this regime in trying to understand and trying to, fulfill what they promised. When I was checking about the rate of inflation yesterday at the Central Bank of Kenya, giving the history of inflation from 1990s until now, I like to correct that the inflation rate of 9.2%, according to the figures the Central Bank gave yesterday, and it's still available in their portal. That was a figure that was until February that we had it 9.2, probably maybe last year. But until February it was at 9.2, and then now, correctly as Honorable said, now it's 6.8, which means, and I agree that it is a steady progress in terms of trying to reduce the rate of inflation in this country. That is correct. But let's also correct it that as of February this year, it was still 9.2%. So that is correct. Is in the central bank, website. One of the things that I also agree with is the strides that have been made by the Kenya Kwanza government in trying to deal and tackle, the economic crisis that we have. One of the issues that I also foresaw is the fact that the regime is opening up more space for creative economy. You see, we have these traditional economies and reports that Kenyans really rely on, especially looking at manufacturing, looking at tourism, looking at what sector. But I think what I've seen the government trying to do, and that's why I sit here to just give a credit where it's due, is by the fact that the president and the whole regime has been trying to market Kenyans, especially in matters of digital economy as well, which promises a lot of jobs, by the way. Matters that are coming with artificial intelligence, for example, matters that are coming with blue economy, green economy. And these are areas that, young people, since yesterday's celebration about young people, you see it was much themed as young people. I think it's critical that the head of state, while addressing the other traditional or other normal economic aspects, or prospects, then I think we also need to look at then what is the promise of this kind of a new economic frontier, which I think this regime is really trying to do. But all in all, I agree with certain aspect that one, there is a steady progress in terms of reducing inflation. However, again, I still feel that there is a slack when it comes to matters of dealing with wastage and fighting corruption and living large. You see, these are prominent issues that are coming in particular this regime. And yesterday there is a question about the travels that the president has made, the entire executive members. You see, there's one of the headlines that was there yesterday. Between October and now, around a number of travels that have been made. So the question is, could we also give a feedback on what is the economic viability and the feedback, or what this brings back to the economy, vis-a-vis the 329 million that are accrued? What is the value that is plowed back in the economy? What is the value that is plowed back? For example, when the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, you see the number of cases that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption have outlined that are forwarded to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. When this is done and prosecutions are made, what is the return, of what was looted out of public coffers? So when we are clearly, and Honorable Sossion, when we are clearly able to provide this information to the citizens, then I think the country would appreciate the value of, even as much as we are trying to revive the economy in terms of investment, but also even as much as, could you give a report on how we are reducing wastage, but at the same time plowing back to what is recovered that is stolen from this country here and in abroad. So when we are able to deal with that, then I think Kenyans would appreciate what the regime are doing in totally and holistically.
All right, very good. On the front page of the Standard newspaper. Okay, Ruto opens doors, Kenya's doors on visa gamble. That's on the front page of the Standard. Ruto opens Kenya's doors in a visa gamble. President seeks to assuage Kenyans' suffering, saying that painful experiences of higher taxes is now paying off by pulling the country out of debt distress, and announces Kenya will be visa-free starting next month. Okay, what are some of the figures here? 6.8% is the current inflation rate, and 4.2 billion shillings is the amount of money lent to 21 million Hustler Fund borrowers, making it the largest financial inclusion program in the country. And you have got 300 shillings is what the vulnerable will now pay to access health coverage, down from 500 as the government rolls out framework to reform healthcare. We have got 31, the number of active housing development sites employing 220,000 people. Another 31 are undergoing evaluation, while others are in various stages of design. And finally, what is 4 million? 4 million is now the number of learners to receive coding training under KICD approved program in collaboration with Google and other partners. So those are some of the figures as was read out by President William Ruto. Very quickly on the front page of, I think it's more or less the same thing that was on the front page of the Star newspaper. Ruto opens Kenya's doors in visa gamble. How about I take you through the spirit of fairness, take you through the front page of the Star newspaper, the People Daily. Kenya turns 60. This is what is on the front page of the People Daily. Rich history of high and lows. At the dawn of independence on December 12, 1963, Kenya faced many challenges, including poverty, ignorance, and disease, as stated by founding President Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Over 6 decades, Presidents Daniel Arap Moi, Mwai Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta, now William Ruto have steered the nation through tough times on the journey to self-determination. This is what we have here. Kenya turned 60. It was a colorful celebration yesterday at the Jamhuri, the Uhuru Gardens, as Kenya marked 60. Mheshimiwa Sossion, I'm so certain that you've not clocked 60 years. That I can bet.
I've not clocked 60 years. I was born 5 years after independence, so you can be sure.
So you're not yet there?
I'm not yet there. But these dreams have been dreams and dreams. You know, Victor, many countries attained independence with us at the same time. both within the continent and
yes.
other parts of the world. But African economies was stagnated. We really didn't get independence as such because we remained largely under the political and economic control of our former colonies. We did not even mount liberal education systems that would help us industrialize. And that is why as Africa, we never ever industrialized. But countries in Asia, they broke off and did their own things. And now they're not talking about 60 years. I was seeing the PM of Singapore, outgoing PM, saying we need to keep our systems clean. And that was his parting short statement when leaving Singapore. But here, we are still talking about fighting poverty, illiteracy, and disease for close to 60 years. I think this narrative must stop, and that is where the transformative agenda of the bottom-up is very radical and revolutionary. If all Kenyans can support the current government programs, then we'll be able to achieve this within 5 years, and we'll break away. We are at the verge of the fourth industrial revolution, and this is what the president is very passionate.
What should we be fighting?
That then, now just allow me, that then we must invest heavily in the ICT infrastructure so that we put all Kenyans in the economic space, like the creative economy has been doing, and allow all youth, because our Kenyan youth are very versatile in terms of ICT, to be in that particular space. And I want to state that one of the current policies under implementation is building ICT hubs in every ward through Constituency Development Fund, CDF, which of course the amendments were signed into law by the president the other day. If we have ICT hubs in every ward, that enables the youth across the country to be in the ICT space. And with their skills, they can engage in employment opportunities and programs all over the world, and engage in and really participate effectively in the creative economic space. That notwithstanding, Victor, you realize during Kibaki administration, Kenya is one country that was allowed to develop very fast and grow very fast in mobile technology. And Kenyans are maybe among the first few Africans citizens to really operate mobile phone technology and be in that particular space. And therefore, now we are in the fourth industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution is about operating literally everything through ICT infrastructure. And therefore, we need to give this capacity to the youth of Kenya. And this is where the president is so passionate about having ICT hubs in every ward through the CDF, and also in strengthening the delivery of ICT knowledge through TVET institutions. And right now, there are about 40 million Kenyans who are in employment through online jobs. You don't need to physically leave Kenya to be on an online employment and to be in that space of creative economy. So I think we must take Kenyans, the government must take the lead and facilitate Kenyans to participate effectively and fit in the fourth industrial revolution. Perfect. And I'm sure once this is realized, the outcome and indicators will be seen in what the youth will be doing all over the country.
I ask a question because 60 years down the line, we are still eradicating poverty, ignorance, and disease. Let me ask you, what do you think we should be fighting 60 years later, today, instead of the three? What should we be focusing on? Mheshimiwa, in 1 minute, if you can. Your own version.
No, I've said let's move to the fourth industrial revolution. If you want to know what the fourth industrial revolution is all about,
for the benefit
it means
of the
we shall have gone through, we should be done with things of diseases. We should not be paying for any form of ailment in this country, including critical illnesses. We should be able to do that, and I think that has been addressed through the health bills.
Yes.
We should be done with education. Education should be free and of good quality. Those are things that are being addressed now, because you cannot move to that level before you seal all these things to do with food sufficiency, which should be done. And that is where we are speaking to reinvigorating the production sector so that we promote manufacturing, value addition, and that is why there are EPZ zones to aggregate products from farmers in all 47 counties. That should be done. So we are actualizing. What is being done now through the bottom-up economic transformation agenda is to actualize and close this objective that were provided, that was outlined during independence. Then you take the country forward to the global space to compete effectively within the global space.
Thank you.
And fit in the fourth industrial revolution. And Kenya should be a competitive economy. That is compelling for everybody in the world.
We can be proud of that.
To be part
we can be proud of that as a nation. I think we've made several strides.
All these Mheshimiwa has talked about narrows down. Every time, every regime, we are really calling for a leadership. For a leadership. Because it is...
A deliberate.
Yes, a deliberate leadership. It is all this poverty, ignorance, disease, and the transition to different forms of, revolutionary in every century requires leadership. I mean, Mheshimiwa Association have said here that, he quoted the outgoing, is it Malaysian minister? And those Asian tigers...
Singapore
and other Asian tigers who were able to leap throughout those systems that were put together, by colonizers to progress.
Yes.
But what took them? Leadership. You see the leadership. You see the leadership of Xi Jinping from the transition from where China was. You see the leadership of the Asian tigers, like I've mentioned. The ability to recognize what is the generational call, what is the generational desire, what is that transition in each generation, what is the revolutionary on that generation. So for us, I am still looking at these leaders you've mentioned. Jomo Kenyatta, President Daniel Arap Moi, Mwai Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta, and right now Dr. William Ruto. What is the attribution can we give them? The ability to recognize the generational need and to be able to format a government to meet and tailor-make those needs. And that is why I have appreciated here, and I've agreed with Mheshimiwa Association, by appreciating that the Honorable Dr. William Ruto and the government have acknowledged certain aspects of a leap of what this generation requires, that we are slowly migrating
he needs to carry on.
And speedily migrating to a digital economy. And by the way, Honorable Irungu Kangata, when he was actually in one of the graduation, he cautioned the graduates that not mark you, young people, you're always, asking about the jobs in government. And acknowledge the fact that people are sitting down and they're working from homes and they're being paid. While others are saying we are waiting and being employed, which is not bad, but the recognition that Kenya is becoming liberalized and freedom in our free market economy and capitalistic economy that we are operating requires a liberal economy. By the fact that we should open our ICT, and as much as possible educate the citizens and match the curriculum to meet the need of a digital economy. I think that is what we are requiring as a leader, as a leadership.
Now, then it means that we have to restructure our curriculum. Because if we are now migrating to the digital world, right?
No doubt.
No doubt, right?
Yes,
so we need to, moving forward, if that is now the fourth industrialization you're talking about, then we have to package our education system in such a way that is going to have this taken care of.
If you read the education charter of Kenya Kwanza, we said we are going to open up fresh conversation with Kenyans on our education system and evaluate the education system that we have with the view of preserving the strong knowledge-based education that we have in Kenya, because everything about skills and competencies is founded on knowledge, which of course Kenya has been doing very well for many years, while at the same time accommodating competencies, skills, and values for the 21st century. And that is going to speak to the fourth industrial revolution, and we must have a flexible curriculum that allows learners to build their potential, and we have seen a lot of reforms that are being undertaken now in the ministry through consultation. While Secretary General of NAT, I raised concern about non-consultation in education reform. You cannot undertake reforms without professionally consulting.
You must have a round-table discussion.
Now the report is the Presidential Working Party report is under implementation, and the correct structure has actually been developed so that, and let me tell you, Victor, a curriculum must be reviewed constantly. And any curriculum must be reviewed every 5 years, according to UNESCO standards. And the President said on 23rd of June 2022, while signing that charter at Catholic University, that we shall do what UNESCO tells us to do. We are not going to do what we think emotionally within the country. And to me, I buy and I share that opinion very strongly. And that is why there are a lot of reforms in the education sector. If you look at the model, it's a whole conversation that we may need about 3 weeks, Victor, to discuss about that. But then that is falling in place.
Perfect.
It is being addressed. The TVETs are shaping up. The universities are modeling up. They are rising from the ashes, from their death. And the basic education system is taking shape. But there is something that Victor, my colleague here has talked about, leadership. And I think we should, that should be the key thing that we talk about it.
I need to fill your cup.
Leadership. And he has talked about, we cannot be doing ABCD. We cannot dream Malaysian dreams, Singapore dreams, Korean dreams, Chinese dreams, and the Asian tigers' dreams when we are engaged in wastage. And when we have baggage,
it's 8 a.m.
Baggage, it's baggage.
Your lesson is over. Your lesson is over. It's 8 a.m.
He's agreeing.
Let me conclude.
No.
The government
let's take a
of
break.
Kenya Kwanza. And
let's take a break.
We take a break.
Let's take a break. I need to fill your cups.
You will allow me.
I will
finish my statement. But I've done what you call exposition of the lesson.
You know, the bottom up economic model is really promoting the bottom up economic model.
Let's take a break.
Did Ricardo call you? Why did he call and look for you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I heard you.
You ever once thought that Magdalena spends all day in that room of hers and that she's the only one among us who seems to be going crazy?
Your beloved brother-in-law and all of Puebla will find out who you really are.
What are you doing?
No, what were you looking for?
Magdalena put that there so that you would start to doubt me.
She is a very dangerous woman.
They don't know, and I said they don't know, boy. They see me smile, but they don't know what I feel inside.
My people will be working so hard. There's nothing in this world that is ever too far. I love those who hate me. I ask even those who curse.
Baby, when we first met, I never felt something so strong. You were like my lover and my best friend.
Did I love you? This is for my international love. Oh, and there's nothing I can say or ever do to deserve the love of a woman like you. Well, yeah.
All right, welcome back. Kenya turned 60 yesterday. We are 60 years old. Session says that he's not yet 60 years old. Okay, let me take you through the front page of BBC. What do you have here? Israel losing global support over Gaza. Let me just turn this side for you to see it very clearly. Okay, Israel losing support over Gaza bombing. That's according to Biden. That's the US President saying that Israel losing global support of Gaza. That is Joe Biden, the US President. US President Joe Biden has said that Israel is starting to lose global support over its quote-unquote indiscriminate bombing of Gaza. His comment made to donors at a fundraising event on Tuesday marked his strongest criticism yet of Israel's leadership. And Mr. Biden said that he's offered unwavering public support to the country since Hamas launched its attacks on 7th of October this year. And while he reiterated that Israel could count on US backing, he issued a direct warning to its government, quote unquote, Israel's security can rest on the United States, but right now it has more than the United States. It has the European Union, it has Europe, it has most of the world. He spoke this yesterday. He told donors to his 2024 re-election campaign in Washington. Daniel, the big boy is speaking.
Yeah. Well, I also agree that, you know, the continued bombardment in Gaza. I think there's a lot of opinions, and so varied opinions as to why there should still be this war in Middle East. Yeah. While there is a ceasefire that had been discussed, Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the Prime Minister of Israel, I think must be told in clear terms that the bombardment has to stop, because now there is bombardment in hospitals, you know, where they shouldn't be. The laws of war doesn't allow you to bomb hospitals, to bomb refugee camps, to bomb, tents and humanitarian areas. But you see, this has been a targeted bombing, in the claim that we are targeting the Hamas, fighters who are, providing human shield in these particular areas. So I agree to some extent that this was long foreseen. The more Israel is bombarding Gaza, the more he's losing the support of the international community. Because we are all agreeing that we need to strike a balance of being humanity, where you stop, bombing innocent children and people who, have nothing to do with the war. But also on the other side, I also feel that Hamas should also be asked to release the hostages for now. If
too many conditions are now coming out now.
Yes. Why would they not release the hostages? Because the bombardment that Israel is now pushing forward is by the fact that they are feeling that these conversations are not going anywhere. That even as much there is a ceasefire, the Hamas, military, group is not releasing the hostages that were captured on October. I generally agree that there needs to be a mediator, even if it's not the U.S. But I think there needs to be a mediator to stop this war in the Middle East, because it's having ripple effects, just like the Russian and the Ukraine. And I can see President Zelensky was yesterday at the U.S. Senate, trying to also push for more support, that the U.S. should support military to stand against Russia. So I think a balance needs to be stricken there.
There you have it. Actually, he met President Joe Biden yesterday, so it's here. Sorry for that. So Zelensky, third visit to Washington on Tuesday, was tinged on desperation. And that's according to what they say. It was a last-ditch effort to win new military aid from Congress before the currently approved amount runs dry. Okay, so very quickly, I want to take you on France 24. France 24 is now quite different. This is a live one. UN General Assembly votes for Gaza ceasefire, further isolating US and Israel. So this is what we have. The UN General Assembly overwhelmingly passed a resolution on Tuesday demanding an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. A call the Parallel Security Council has so far failed to make, piling pressure on Israel and the US. This is how they voted. The voting result was here. In favor, 153, against 10, and abstention was 23. So the outcome was here. The UN General Assembly. The UN General Assembly voted overwhelmingly on Tuesday to demand humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza, in a strong demonstration of global support for ending Israel-Hamas war. But now, the vote in the 193-member world body was 153 in favor, 10 against, and 23 abstentions. No, now, unlike Security Council resolutions, General Assembly resolutions are not legally binding, but the Assembly's message are also, quote unquote, are also important and reflect world opinion, according to UN spokesperson. Mwalimu Sosion, so there's a message being sent out here at the UN Assembly in favor 153, against 10 and 23.
I think the UN General Assembly is doing its work, and it has taken a resolution, and that resolution must be respected by the US and Israel.
Yes.
So if we need peace. At this age, era, and time of the fourth industrial revolution, we must not have certain civilizations behaving like animals. I think we need to get out of that and promote global peace, promote global coexistence. Yeah, when you see the president opening borders, it means you allow other civilizations to freely visit us, and the global community has been opened up, and so the war in Israel must be controlled properly from the UN, and if we need peace in Israel, lasting peace, then the UN must play its role effectively. And the US and Israel must respect that. Because we live in a global community where communications is so strong, and therefore there is no reason why such conflicts cannot be brought to an end, including even Ukraine-Russia conflict. Those are unnecessary conflicts, unnecessary, completely unnecessary. And they can be handled through strong mediation framework within the UN. UN was created in 1945 after the Second World War, out of the experience of the catastrophic effects of the Second World War. And I think now it's time UN is upgraded and given capacity and independence to intervene in peace in areas of conflicts across the world, because where there are conflicts, there's a lot of human suffering of women and children, and generally humanity. We don't need to dehumanize humanity at this time, basically because of resources that can be organized properly and ensure human coexistence. Before the establishment of the State of Israel, earlier on in 1948, from the fact that we get in history, even Jews coexisted with Muslims in Iraq and elsewhere with equal opportunities. And what we are seeing is a hangover of unfinished business of colonizers within the Middle East, because basically the entire world was colonized, including even Europe. And therefore, a lot needs to be done in the Middle East through the UN framework. No other option.
All right, let's come back home. It's always good to go global as well. Okay, so Daniel, the president was at it yesterday again. Jamhuri Day celebration, we marked it. What stood out for you?
Well, when I was getting into the set, you were giving us an update about the infantry trooping yesterday by the Kenyan Defense Forces. Always, I am proud by that kind of an illuminate performance. It is tantalizing, it is very beautiful, it is very colorful. As a country, I think we have one of the orderly defense forces that always grace the occasion, not only to entertain, but also to show the might as a regional military order that we have as a country. And therefore, mine is just to congratulate again the Kenya Defense Forces by the stellar performance yesterday, and by the flag that was trooped yesterday. I think should be 25.
Yes, 25.
The 25th one that we are having, battalion. So I think it is important also to acknowledge this. And you see, in the spirit of civic engagement and public participation. However, I wish that since Mwalimu is here, that our curriculum would always inform Kenyans, what this means, Victor. Because yesterday I actually struggled to understand why the national anthem was played thrice, as opposed to once that you always see. But you see, until the media tried to elaborate why that was happening, if we have this kind of, as part of civic engagement, and to understand Kenyans, to understand the value,
yes,
to understand what comes with this.
This is what we're talking about now.
You know the beauty,
yes,
the beauty of this marching, as opposed to just marching and colors, and the three, the Kenya Army, the Kenya Navy, and the Kenya Air Force. What does this mean to a country? If this is able to be elaborated for young people who are born, post-Moi regime, and the Generation Z that we are having right now, with the creativity sector, then I think Kenyans will be able to understand. That is one thing that stood out for me yesterday. The stellar performance, and always waited for it anxiously. But again, of course, much of the presidential speech on how the borders are opened, also that was a breakthrough yesterday. On how the report, various reports on the conferment of the elder of the Order of the Golden Heart, where a number of people who've made significant milestones in different sectors were acknowledged.
Just to mention, including our very own Martin Kingasia.
Yes,
and
yes,
Gatonyi,
you see.
And Gatonyi, were they also fitted?
Mwalimu, you've been awarded before.
Yes. I was decorated by President Mwai Kibaki in 2012.
Yes.
As
Perfect.
a Moran of the Burning Spear, out of my personal engagements with him on teachers' matters while he was a president. And
exactly.
I think we did a lot with Kibaki.
Yes.
We were able to see conversion of 23,000 teachers to permanent and pensionable jobs. And to me, I'm happy. If I was able to cause employment of 23,000 teachers, it is something
I was just recognizing.
You would imagine the chain of help after 23,000.
I was decorated as a Moran of the Burning Spear, MBS, by Mwai Kibaki.
What does it come with? What does it come
he
with?
will tell us. And I think
No, it comes with a medal. And that is a medal of honor.
Yes.
Yes, it's a medal of honor. It doesn't come with millions of shillings. It's a medal of honor, and honor is the greatest thing. And you remember when the king came to Kenya, those veterans of the Second World War came out with their medals, and they're very proud of the medals. And this is the pride of anybody in the military, and the pride of anybody who has excelled in nationhood. You don't need land, you don't need money, you only need a medal of honor. That gives you pride, and it leaves an indelible mark forever.
Agree.
It picks you from the crowd.
Yes. I think it's always important to see Faith Kipyegon. A number of people who were conferred yesterday. And I think Mwalimu has just given us the elaboration, exactly what this means, the pride, the sense of pride that it brings into it, the internal intrinsic value that you get when you're able to refer yourself, put an, something on your title as EGH, and all these. I think for me that stood out yesterday. But even as I conclude on this, I think it's important that the president really is also trying to bring in the value of nationhood. The value, the progress we've made as a democracy. Because that was his opening speech. How we have come from 1963 as a single party state to a multi-party state. There are countries who've not, there are countries in this continent who've only seen one or two presidents. Even our neighbors here. I mean, there are one or two presidents. A whole generation has not seen, how many presidents are we right now? 6 or 7? Fifth president or 6. But a country we've seen 2 or 3. You see, these are things I'm saying. If we are able to tell the citizens of this generation, the value of what we have is this country. Until you walk outside. Until you walk outside and preserve. The value, until you walk outside this continent and you see, then you are able to appreciate what we have as a country. And this sense of pride that we always look at in celebrations like this. But lastly, like I mentioned, is that the leadership that we have. And this is, I critique them, but I critique in terms of creativity, constructively. If the president was able to secure, a partnership with Grammy Awards, to come and begin to shoot films. You know what that means as a Hollywood partnering with the government of Kenya and trying to set Kenya at a global stage, giving young people an opportunity to exploit talents. Lupita Nyong'o found that value by leaving this country and going to Hollywood. But right now, Hollywood is coming to Kenya. Do you know that value? I think we should know that value of what it brings to this country. Do you know the value of Meta and Facebook opening and Google opening a regional office in Kenya? Sometimes I think as a country, beyond criticism, we really just need to take stock and know exactly the investment we have in this country. But all in all, because we have a leadership, because we have a vibrant civil society that is able to question, and the value of civic space opening for democracy to thrive, and people beginning to be creative in their ideas, giving president creative ideas, as opposed to the country that have civic space. This is for me as what I call that the state of the nation, even as much as is not strongest, but it was stronger yesterday.
But let's not forget about, when we talk about leadership, let's not forget about the strength of our democracy that we've tried to churn as a nation for over those years. At Mwalimu, you stand at a very good pedestal point, because when you talk about what the president said, really what still stood out, that you said, now that sunk home.
I think I can consolidate everything that went on yesterday. My brother has talked about the precision of the military. My brother's talked about the president talking about the value of our democracy, the great value of our democracy. And nationhood. My brother has talked about leadership as a key thing that we need so that we can go the Singaporean way. And that reminds me of what the Prime Minister, outgoing Prime Minister, was saying. For us to move forward, we must keep our systems clean. The whole thing that I saw in the whole celebration is a mark of diligence in Kenya. That's where we are headed to.
Yeah.
We are going to be a country of merit, a country of diligence, a country of order, and a country of progress from how things were done. Take, for example, the traditions within the military. Yes, we may have inherited the English tradition in terms of doing things, but it is a value that has grown over time, which is admired. And let me tell you, in every national day, Kenyans admire the work of the military. And this is one entity that really we need to emulate and copy from. And as you have challenged, these are some of the things that we need to, especially when you're talking about value-based education.
Yes.
Value-based education. What values do we really need to grow and inculcate in our children, and not only inculcate in our children, inculcate in our leadership. So the event yesterday communicated to every Kenyan, and it gave hope to Kenyans. And particularly when the president said, the country is headed in the right direction. And he was able to account blow by blow. To me, I saw diligence of consolidating the country, consolidating the people of Kenya, whether in opposition or in government, to understand their country, understand where their country is headed to, and support the country to head toward that progressive direction. To me, that message came out very clearly. The president, in terms of now when you're talking about leadership, we need a leader. I think we have it in the person of the president. And now, that brings me to the other interest that you're talking about, corrupt elements and whatnot. In the government of Kenya Kwanza, and you will see it by and by, it will have no room for anybody corrupt. They will fall off. They will just fall off, if there are any. Because for this country to go where it needs to be required, the leadership that we are talking about, now we have it. We must have we must have all those values exemplified in all government offices, with all government appointees, from the president to the lowest government servant, and that is how to turn around the country. And by the way, Victor, we can turn around this country in 5 years. And in 5 years, we will be telling stories of where we've come from. As a democracy, because I'm also widely traveled. While working with teachers, I travel across Africa. I helped organize teachers in many countries in Africa. And in some countries, even to criticize government is, even teachers used to ask me, hey, Sosion, how come you are so bold? You are able to take on government, lead, action. I said, yes, our country's democracy is free. And I remember 2012, Kibaki told me, I cannot go to the UN when children are at home.
Yes.
And I told him, Mr. President, please travel. I will ensure that this strike is called off because you have given us what we were demanding. And to me, it was great humility for President to request you and for me to give permission to the President and tell the Mr. President, travel.
I would imagine
travel
that is how the confinement came.
Mr. President, travel to the US. We shall call off because you have achieved what you wanted and you have given us what you wanted. And that is the beauty of our democracy. And if you look at our President, he is able to engage the different groups and consolidate their views, and now that is the hallmark of democracy. Consult the people, and I think it is outlined properly under Article 10 of the Constitution. National values and principles.
Yeah, we're almost exiting the stage. Almost exiting the stage. What do you really think now, moving forward? We start another journey, 6 years to come. I mean, what do you really think as a nation? You talked about this aspect of nationhood from the president's, point of view.
Yes.
So, what next for us as a nation?
Well, I think there's a systematic drift. I was reading an interesting article where I also ended, and I just wanted really to slightly agree with Sosion. If that is the persona of the president, then I think
totally agree.
Then I think that is
I persuade you to totally agree.
That is the right direction. Where for the president to deliver, and any president, is that sometimes you have to take a break and tighten your cycle to perform.
Yes.
Because there is a lot of varied issues that are coming that sometimes, if you're not careful, you become a lame duck president.
Correct.
I have seen President Ruto, if that is true, that is tightening his delivery and dream team, then this is why the results are coming in. I foresee a president that is keen on striking a chord over face of Kenya. In a sense that appointments, in a sense that, any qualifications is looked at in terms of merit. If there is a position of appointment to parastatus and the CS, then I think the president is looking at someone who is qualified to deliver. He read the Riot Act to the ministers in State House. I think that was a hallmark and a bold move that now things are not going to be usual as you thought. That now is a time to deliver. For the stake and for the sake of nationhood, that the president is a symbol of a national unity. He's a father figure. He's the nationhood, the president of the Republic of Kenya. And when he said yesterday that services are now going to be delivered in any corner of this republic, whether you voted him or not, or whether you're from certain tribes or not, that is the right direction that we are looking as a country.
That's a bare minimum as for him as a president.
There is a political goodwill.
There is no question about that.
Let me tell you.
And that assurance is important.
It is very important. But then there is a political goodwill that even as much as you can say it, but you can say it and not implement it. Because you're asking me where are we headed as a nation.
Yes.
That is where we are headed to. Secondly, I am a beneficiary when I was given a chance to ask the deputy president by then, Honorable William Ruto, now the president of the Republic of Kenya, one of the Chatham House appearances, and I was given an opportunity to ask him the question about how to tackle corruption. And I agree that the answers that he provided way back in earlier 2020, last year, I think last year before election.
In London.
In London. I was given an opportunity to ask him question because I attended that particular session. So when I was asked on corruption, the president said very clearly in clear terms, and I agree with him, that corruption has been personified. That in a sense, that certain people are seen as corrupt, and therefore the public has perceived that in a sense that you cannot fight corruption. Because corruption is equated to certain individuals or certain communities or certain things. So he said,
in big sense, is widespread.
In his response, he said that one of the things to do is to use the available mechanism and institution to fight corruption. So when I say the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission winding up on the cases, Office of Director of Public Prosecution, prosecuting people, I am saying here that I see that there is hope in terms of fighting corruption. So for me, those are two things.
All right.
Building a nationhood, fighting corruption, and becoming accountable.
In one word, is there hope?
There is. I see there is hope.
Thank you.
For me, I think there is hope in this country.
Mheshimiwa Sosion, 42,000 teachers to be trained as state rolls out curriculum. State to employ 56,000 teachers, upgrade key facilities in schools. Maybe in 1 minute. We are all
the biggest
out of
beneficiary in terms of policy implementation and transformation of William Ruto's administration of Kenya Kwanza is education.
Thank you.
A lot has gone into education, and training 42,000 in coding curriculum is really going to build capacity of teachers, and that will be seen in terms of return, in terms of from the learners. And of course, will prepare the country and the youth of this country for the fourth industrial revolution. Employment of 56,000 teachers is just but halfway of what the president committed. And I can say anywhere and any time that the president remains committed to hire up to 116,000 and seal the entire gap within a short period. And those teachers who are being brought on board under internship shall be gradually converted in an automated system to permanent and pensionable terms.
Thank you.
So I think education by 2027 will have one of the best report cards.
Thank you so much.
In terms of outcomes, in terms of investments, and in terms of commitment.
As you speak, this is how you are speaking. As we finalize, this is how we usually do it. This is how you do it. Okay, so a point taken home. A point taken home. Directly, just beam that. Mheshimiwa Sosion, what were you trying
Is that me today?
This is you. This is you.
Oh, yes.
The kind of, the passion,
I need that photo in my phone. Can whoever is doing it send me that picture? That is a picture of the day for me.
Picture for the day. All right, thank you so much. Wilson Sosion, Nat, former Nat Secretary General, as well Daniel Oroga. Asante sana for coming to the show. We've done it well. All right, you as a viewer, you know what? Asante sana for watching. My name is Victor Lo. We are taking a break, but GMK continues. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.
In a world filled with uncertainty, there is one thing we can always count on: the power of compassion and generosity. Every day, families in Kenya face unimaginable challenges and hardships. They struggle to put food on the table, provide shelter for their loved ones, and access basic health care. But today, you have the power to make a difference. By just contributing 1 shilling and 50 cents from your airtime, your generosity can provide access to sanitary pads, nutritious food, clean water, education, and life-saving medical care to those who need it most. To support this cause, please tune in to your favorite radio station under the KBC umbrella for step-by-step instructions on how to subscribe. KBC Helping Hands. Together, we can make a difference and bring hope to those in need.
A man's death has condemned them to live a rivalry because of their father. He killed my brother. He stayed with his land and with his wife. Or did you forget how my brother Tulio Irazabal died?
I dare you to kiss me again.
What we feel is too strong to just let it go.
Your wife is cheating on you. Shut up. Who is your lover?
Tell me why last night you lied to your boyfriend, Amparo. Explain to me what you were doing outside our house, kissing the veterinarian.
I have fallen in love with another man.
3 loving love affairs that will be challenged, the three will manage to get ahead. Their magnificence, their passion and strength. Las Bandidas.
They don't know, and I said they don't know. Oh boy, they see me smile, but they don't know what I feel inside.
My people will be working so hard. Nothing in this world that is ever too far. I am those who hate me. I am even those who curse.
Baby, when we first met, I never felt something so strong. You were like my lover and my best friend.
I love you. This is for my international love. Oh, and this nothing I can say or ever do to deserve the love of a woman like you. Well, yeah.
Did Ricardo call you? Why did he call and look for you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I heard you.
You ever once thought that Magdalena spends all day in that room of hers and that she's the only one among us who seems to be going crazy?
Your beloved brother-in-law and all of Puebla will find out who you really are.
What are you doing?
No, what were you looking for?
Magdalena put that there so that you would start to doubt me.
She is a very dangerous woman. It's a cocktail of emotions. The puns that cracks up the family. Greed that yields power and a hunger for success. Friends turn to foes. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the desire to succeed that keeps us going, the deception that keeps us digging, and the laughter pill that keeps us living.
As the country celebrates 60 years of self-rule, the milestones in the health sector, which is now a devolved function, cannot be overemphasized. Over the years, the number of health facilities has grown, with public hospitals being complemented by private and faith-based institutions. Professor Simon Kang'ethe started practicing medicine in 1973 as a clinical officer, with his first station being Machakos General Hospital.
I was instrumental in the review and the development of nearly all the curricula in medical training college. I helped them to rewrite their curricula in ways that they could help graduates from KMTC be able to go and advance their studies.
He would later work in different hospitals across the country, including Moyale.
And the clinical officers who are graduating were mainly being posted to the rural areas to take care of the rural population. The human resource population was very, very poor. Around 1981-82, the clinical officers in the country who could treat eye diseases were only 40 in the country. When I worked in Moyale, I remember we used to wait for 1 year or even 2 years for the flying doctor service to travel, to fly to Moyale to do a cataract surgery. And when they announced that they were coming, there would be 70 or 80 patients waiting.
He notes that back in the day, hospital infrastructure was in a sorry state compared to what Kenya is enjoying now.
You go into some hospitals at that time, you could find that even the toilets that people would use when they come to hospitals were in very, very poor state, very, very poorly maintained. But now you go to our hospitals, They are almost like second homes. They have improved tremendously. Very few hospitals had ambulances. And in those that they had any means of transport, there could be a few Land Rovers here and there.
Kenyan health sector has embraced technology with a vision to have hospitals go paperless.
For instance, if you are in a facility A, which could be in Homa Bay or Migori, and you want to consult a specialist here in Nairobi, you are able to do like a scan and share with a specialist who can be able to put meaning into it so that you take intervention wherever you are.
The government has over the years invested in more sophisticated equipment for diagnosis and treatment of diseases. For instance, Kenyans are able to receive cancer treatment locally, as opposed to the past when many had to take trips abroad to countries such as India. The country recently acquired the CyberKnife system for use in cancer treatment. It is a non-surgical and delivers high-dose radiation to cancerous or non-cancerous tumors with extreme accuracy, while not damaging healthy tissue surrounding the tumor. Governments over the years have invested in the workforce with the recruitment of health workers to cater to the growing population. However, health worker unions say that despite these, there is a gap that needs to be filled.
They promised to employ more than 20,000 healthcare professionals. Only 11 counties that are halfway to meet the staffing norm as recommended by the WHO. So that one actually put doubts in terms of the realization of the UHC and the health reform that we are focusing on.
The government is currently focusing on achieving universal health coverage, and part of this entails focusing on primary care. To support these, 100,000 community health promoters were hired to complement health workers at the community level. Nancy Okware, Kenya at 60.
And welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Good Morning Kenya on KBC Channel 1. And thank you for tuning in and making us your channel of choice. My name is Mike Megu. And now we shift gears to other matters after that fascinating segment with Victor Law. Now we look at storytelling through the lens, especially in the slum areas. And in studio to help me with this conversation, I'm joined by Jerry Muchura, who is the founder of Photostart Media. Karibu sana to the program.
Thank you very much.
And on my far left, I have Felix Ragen, who is a former student and also a peer trainer. Karibu sana to the program.
Thank you.
Now, if I start with you, Njeri, what was the drive behind offering free photography classes to youth in the slum areas?
So thank you very much.
Karibu sana.
First, I will slight correction. I am the global head of programming at Photostart. Our founder is David Lehman. He is a New York-based photographer. So he came here in 2016 and realized that kids like pictures, and it's another way of them learning. So that's how we managed to bring about the curriculum of photography and to bring them to underserved areas where now they can learn how to tell their stories their own way and also learn key life skills within the lessons of photography. We usually say we don't make photographers. We use photography as a vehicle to learning. Yeah.
So what does photography, storytelling through photography really mean?
So there's a quote that says, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So we take that and we say that our youth have a lot to say. They don't have the avenues to say it. So we give them this space, this skill, where they can photograph and tell their stories their own way. Chinua Achebe said, until the lion learns to tell the story will always glorify the hunter.
Yes.
So now, as African lions, we have a lot to say. People have been telling our stories. They come to our ghettos, they come to underserved areas and tell a particular story that's not the real true story on the ground. So the youth are like, even us, we want to say something. That is not what is, that is not the truth. Let us learn how to tell the truth. And that's now the skill of storytelling through photography, call it visual storytelling through the lens, gives them the key skills to put together their thought into a series of pictures or a single picture and now put it out there. Now with the digital space as wide open as it is, they have a bigger channel or funnel to put out information about who they are, where they are in real time. In a case like we were in Kibagare slum in Loresho area, and we taught them photography skills, we taught them how to package stories and all of that. So whenever there's like, for example, fires in the area, our students, our former students are the ones at the forefront saying, hey, this is what is happening, taking pictures on social media, and help comes to them faster, as opposed to, that word of mouth, oh, kuna chomeka, oh, this is happening. And help takes longer to get there. They can also document the process of, hey, there's a fire, this is what we are doing, and just put updates real time. And now people can say, hey, you know what, how can we help? How can we engage? So that's one of the impacts that we have seen through this visual storytelling, through the lens.
Now, let's talk about when you started.
Yes.
Penetrating into these slums. How did you go about it? Because some of the youth and the people who live within slum areas are not so much as exposed to opportunities. So how did you start this initiative and managed to reach the people that you have impacted so far?
So when our executive director came, I think he saw a news piece about an organization working with the slum, so he decided to just reach out. And when he landed, he went there with his camera and interacting with the youth. They want to see the gear, they want to take pictures, and he realized there's a need. So he went back and then sat down and then came up with Photostat. So what we do when we get to underserved areas, we work with partner organizations on the ground. So we don't actually come, hey, we are here. We work with partners on the ground that will marshal up the youth in one space. We come with our photographers, we come with our trainers, we come with cameras as well, and now interact and work with them. What that has happened is everywhere we go, and we leave a mark. This is what has been happening, and we realized that by working with partners who are already on the ground, what we come and do is we just add value to what they have and increase their impact on the ground, because it's not a Photostat thing. We work always in partnerships with communities and organizations on the ground to just give them new opportunities or mental shifts that, you don't have to be, the conventional way, go to school, go to university, go to college. Most of them will never do that. But if you have now this digital skills and extra skills, you can actually open doors for yourself. And that's what we have seen. Not necessarily like creating photographers. Some of them have realized, hey, I have a knack for this kind of work that ties in with photography. And they have gotten jobs that way.
Yes.
So we are pushing a mental shift that the conventional way, if it doesn't work for you, there's a whole playing field that has open doors that you can create and open for yourself. Yes.
Felix, talk about your journey in learning photography, and now that you are a former student, and now you are a peer trainer. Talk about that journey.
Okay, first, my journey has been rough, I can say that. First, I learned about Photostat through our organization, that is Simama, that is partnering with Photostat. So our director, Mr. Steve, introduced us to Photostat, and we took a training, like a 3 to 4 months training. Then after that, we enrolled in peer training class. So Photostat as a, what do you call it? Photostat as a initiative, each one teach one. So if you have been through that system, so after training to be after you have undergone the training to be a photographer, the next training will be how to be a trainer. So I've been enrolled in those two programs. Right now I'm a trainer, thanks to Photostat, and their training is good. And right now apart from the Photostat thing, I'm earning. I have side hustles in photography related fields. So I'm earning through photography. That's what I do.
So as a peer trainer, you interact with the various youths within, from wherever you come from.
Yeah.
Now, how do you engage them and enlighten them on the opportunities that are there, especially when it comes to digital skills like photography?
Okay, as a trainer, I'm able to pass my skills to those photographers that are upcoming. And one thing I will talk about Photostat. Photostat as a program that they bring mentors, those people who have make it in this field. So that one acts as a motivation to the photographers. So I think that's how we do.
Let's talk about the criteria that you use to enroll these youth in the slum and teach them these skills. What do you look for when you're enrolling the youths in these programs?
So, as I said, we partner with organizations that are already on the ground. So what they do is we rely heavily on them to get the students and vet them. Because one of our key requirements is discipline and commitment. It's a 12-week program. It looks like it's a very short time, but it's really intensive. And how we train, it's not that class you come, you sit, you learn, and then you go. We invoke real-life situations and scenarios. So for example, if you're given an assignment, you have a deadline to bring back the assignment. That's the same way if you go to the workplace and you have a client. They need their work at a certain time, in a certain way. So those are some of the things that we do. So we require our students to be committed, to be disciplined, and to be at least trustworthy, because we have cameras.
Yes.
You know, we can come with a camera and then someone just, because we don't know the area, and then they can run away with it. So one of the key things that we ask for is commitment, discipline, and trustworthiness. Yes. And now the partner continues with the vetting, because after our classes are 2.5 hours, when we leave, the partner still stays with the children or with the youth. So, and they continue with other programs with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
What demographic are we talking about at this point now?
We are talking about the youth. These are 17, 18 to 25. But we also have our younger learners who are now 12 to 17. And those ones we work with, institutions of learning as part of their club system, where we come like now after, Fridays for clubs, and we work with them and we just scaffold their curriculum and also work on their creativity. We have worked with some organizations, some schools in Kibera, and also worked with one on Thika Road. It's called Kenya Community Center for Learning, KCCL. It's a school for special needs kids. So when we're there, they have their regular learning, but then we have seen that using photography it's another skill set for them to learn how to focus, because there are some skills that you have by using the camera or by thinking about a picture that helps impact the learning itself in class. Yes.
When you talk about telling stories through the lens, it's not only about taking pictures. We also have to think about empathy for the photos that you are taking. Talk about the role of empathy in capturing authentic stories, especially in slum areas, and yes, through photography.
So empathy it's a broad subject.
Yes.
Because you want to tell the story, but then the person that you're photographing can be in dire straits. you know. So we have to understand the human aspect and human dignity of the subject, regardless of the story that you are telling. So we have seen, you know, pictures of like kids in the slums, they're dirty with flies all over and all that and all that. Is that a dignifying picture? No. But then how can you tell the story of that situation without breaking someone's dignity? So we have learned, what we teach is how do you see that story and how best can you tell it? So it's a skill that we bring out and teach the children or the youth. I call them children because they're like, all of them are my children. But we teach the youth that you have to always safeguard the person that you're taking a picture of. If they don't have to see the face, if you can tell the story without showing the face, then do it. Because once you take a picture and it's out there and someone's face is there, there will always be, you know, it's like it's a permanent marker that this person is always like this. So we try to seek creative ways of telling the story authentically while safeguarding the subject's dignity.
So it's all about changing what the mainstream photography has been doing all over the years.
Yes.
Oh yes. Now, Bwana Felix, now talk about how this program has impacted you in terms of opening more opportunities for you, besides the fact that you are a peer trainer.
So, one, photography for me is a tool for social change. So in our areas, we do maybe, let's say, issue that the county's issue, maybe the garbages, the whatever. So we can lobby for resources through photography, taking good pictures, then sending it to the relevant authority or posting and tagging them so that things can happen. So number two, I can say about employment. So currently, I'm a sport photographer. So I'm attached to a certain team, like football team, and they're paying me right now. So I take them pictures, and then at the end of the month, I have something. Apart from that, I can say for PhotoStart, I'm still working with them.
Okay, I'd also want to hear from you. You know, as a photographer in these these slum areas, your perspective is different from what an outsider photographer would view the area. So I would love to know from you, what does those two advantages, those two perspectives mean to you, and the advantages that it brings? Because like for instance, let's say I'm a photographer, I'm from the outside, and let's say I'm coming to take a photograph in Kibra. How does that, my perspective and yours as a person who is from Kibra, bring advantages in this area?
Okay, first, advantage one, I think since I'm from that area, I have the good rapport with the community. Like, so I can take any picture that I want, and like the person who is coming from outside. So I think that's one of the advantages.
Jerry, I'll also want to hear your view on the same, because perspectives differ. Because, for instance, if a person from outside comes and takes a different photo, we might take the same photo but have different perspectives. How does those two perspectives merge in terms of advantages?
So I'm a documentary photographer by trade. I've been doing that for, I think, the past 15 years. So I understand perspectives and biases when you come into new areas. So as a photographer, you know, traveling and going, taking pictures and everything, the first time I came to Kibra, we all know the mental picture that when you hear Kibra, it is flying toilets, it is this, it is this, it is this. If you hear Kariobangi or Chocolate City, it is this and this and this. So the first time I get there and I'm like, okay, so I'm already biased. And I have come with, so I have to look for the true story. But who better to tell me that true story than the people who live there? So by training youth from under-resourced areas, what we're saying is, you know your story. you know how best to tell it. And if you have the skills, you can start changing the narrative, picture by picture. I, who come in as a, outsider, I have the gift of, like zooming out because I'm not in there. So my lens is not filtered by whatever is happening. But as much as that is an advantage, it's also a disadvantage because that is already a bias. So by putting mentors, as Regan has said, who are either from or outside, they start cultivating like a two-pronged perspective, or a two-pronged way of seeing it. Yes, we live in Korogocho, yes, we live in Kariobangi, and this is what is happening. But can we tell it differently? One of the things that we say is how you see yourself and how people see you. So those are key lessons that we have. When we ask you, how do you see yourself? We are looking for pictures of, pictures that we haven't seen before. Show us the real area that you live in. How people see you, now that is, if you Google Kibra, those are the pictures that you will see. So how do we start shifting? And by them putting their pictures out there and creating content that is trying to shift the narrative, that it will impact me as an outsider to say, hey, Kibra is not like this. Kariobangi is not like this. There are certain things that are different in these areas. And it will force us, outsider photographers, when we come into that place, not to just come with our biases, but also to open our eyes to everything else that is happening.
So it's a way of creating open-mindedness and doing away with the stereotypes that people have, especially when it comes to slum areas.
Exactly, because we are shifting perspectives. Yes.
On that note, we take a short break. We'll be right back.
It's a cocktail of emotions, the puns that cracks up the family, greed that yields power, and a hunger for success. Trends turn to foes. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the desire to succeed that keeps us going, the deception that keeps us digging, and the laughter pill that keeps us living.
Did Ricardo call you? Why did he call and look for you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I heard you.
You ever once thought that Magdalena spends all day in that room of hers and that she's the only one among us who seems to be going crazy?
Your beloved brother-in-law and all of Puebla will find out who you really are.
What are you doing?
No, what were you looking for?
Magdalena put that there so that you would start to doubt me.
She is a very dangerous woman.
Right, welcome back. My name is Mike Migwi. This is a Good Morning Kenya, and we are talking about storytelling through the lens, especially in the slum areas. And in studio, I am joined by Jerry Muchora, who is the founder of, who is part of the Photostart Media, and Felix Ragen, who is a former student and a peer trainer. And with me here, I have several photos that have been taken here. Yes, I don't know if you can see it very well. And I would love to talk about, earlier on when we were talking off camera, you told me there are photos taken by 12-year-olds?
Yes.
They are good photos. These are good photos.
Well, they have done a good job.
Yes. So how is the experience of training these young ones when it comes to, especially in these skills, because photography is not skills that you can just wake up and start doing.
Yes. So this is, I feel for me, it's my happy place. Because once you come in and they don't understand anything about photography, or the ones that do think about, selfies and all that.
Yes.
But then when you see it landing and their perspective changing, and then the kind of pictures that they start taking, for me, it's my most fulfilling part of my job.
Yes.
So like something like these kids are in underserved areas. They have never seen big cameras. So to see a 12-year-old handling a pro camera and even teaching someone else, apana, this is how you do it. Wacha kweka mkono hapo, shikilia hivi, chukua picha hivi. And then to see the result of that.
Yes.
Happiness.
It's perfect. Now, Felix, tell us how you took some of these photos. Some of these photos. Ulipiga moja hizi ama ni several, or any of your photos here, or you could tell us a little bit on a story like what was the idea behind such a photo?
Okay, first ini setup ya like
ipindue hivi ndio ionekane kwa kamera.
Oh, this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So first ini setup ya like our community, the ghetto zenye tunaishi, then unapata indo reality ya community. So huyu yendo ni kama na baby na sister yake mdogo.
Yeah, yes, nika paro wake sasa.
Yes, ndo kaparo wake.
Yes.
Alafu hapa kuna like shule. So hawa naka the disadvantage.
Inua juu kidogo, kidogo hivyo.
So ukiangalia hizi wordings ziko hapa ni like a school, hizi kindergarten hizi ndogo ndogo. So like ukiangalia ni kama wako disadvantage, wana try kuangalia. So they ina meaning ya hii picha. Wanatamani kwenda shule lakini
sasa wana ni kama they are longing for something that
but sasa kifinance na resources bado. Yes.
Hapa hebu tuongelee mambo ya kutafuta pesa. Hii photo kama hii picha kama hii ni kama inakaa ni kama wedo ama ni some sort of modeling. So talk about ongelelea mambo ya kutafuta pesa na kitu kama hii, because in as much as we talk about photography, kila mse anafunzwa hii maneno, anatafuta pesa.
Yes.
So what is the idea behind such a photo?
So first, these are documentaries, like pictures in a tell story. Zinajaribu kutuonyesha something. So you're asking how tuna earn through is. So through my exhibition, like picture ka hizi tunaweza exhibit mahali for a room, alafu watu wakuje like wakinunua tunaingiza pesa
kitu.
Yes.
Story ndio hiyo sasa.
Alafu pia when you look at a picture like this, first hii community ukiangalia hii utapata wapi kitu kai? So ushaanza kujiuliza maswali, huku ni wapi? Alikamaje huko? And all that. So in a gain interest. Alafu as he said, ukeka kwa ukeka malika nini exhibition and what not, mseta kama ona hii picha, and who's the photographer? Even una land the next job.
So it's about opening opportunities for
every other door that you can.
So the photography aspect is the first door that you open and then get into a room full of opportunities.
And for you to pick whichever you want.
Nice. Now let's talk about the visual elements of storytelling when it comes to photography. I'd like to hear from you. How effective are these skills in telling the experiences about the life within the slums?
So photography and the skills that come, again, we say we're not teaching or making photographers. We're making storytellers. So we teach photography, we teach micro video, we teach content creation, because first the digital space imefunguka. So you have our kids are on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're doing Insta stories and all of that. So you can have like a day in the life of. So where we have thought ati, you know, mse wa Kibra kazi yake tu ni kulala the whole day, alafu anaamka mrando.
Anaenda kurandaranda.
You can find that it's actually different.
Yes.
And if they tell these stories, again, that perception change begins. The skills of photography are not just, again, pictures, because we have focusing, we have collaborations, we have teamwork, we have digital skills that are carried in the vehicle of photography. So by teaching them photography and visual telling skills, we also teach them the science, the art, and the business of photography. These skills now open further doors for them. So yes, you can tell a story. Yes, you can set up. Yes, you can see the key moments. You can capture pictures. You know what to do with a phone, and you know what to do with a camera.
Yes.
Apart from that, what else can you do? What other value can you add to whoever that you're encountering?
Yes.
And how do you best package it for the different forms of media that we have?
So we are talking about a holistic approach to skill development.
Yes.
That is nice. Now, so far, how many youths have you impacted in your efforts to impart these storytelling skills through the lens in those areas?
So first, we're not just in Kenya. We are in Uganda, Rwanda, South Africa, Bolivia, America, Iraq, and expanding. Now, we have run 77 programs since we have started.
Wow.
I think almost around 2,000 students have passed through our hands in these different areas, and both face-to-face and online. Yeah, because this skill, again, is transferable. It's a very, very practical skill. As long as you have a phone, you can learn how to take pictures and do visual storytelling. And then if you have a camera, it's just an upskilling. Yeah. So far, we've done 77 programs and almost 2,000 students. Yeah.
Felix, nataka uniambie hii idea teach one, impact one. Imekuwaje kwako? How has it impacted you, and how as a peer trainer imekusaidia aje katika kazi yako?
Okay, hii program ya each one teach one imekuwa na impact kubwa kwangu. Kwanza photography, the more una transfer knowledge, the more una understand better. So pande yangu nimekuwa nikitrain. So the moment na train, the more pia mimi naendelea kulearn na napiga research. So the next time naenda kwa field na natoa something good, ndio nimekuwa nikilearn. Number 2 pia inanipatia skill ya neza train now, apart from ile kupiga tu picha but now neza simama mbele ya wasee niwaambie now hiki kitu inafanywa hivi na hivi na hivi. So imekuwa na impact poa on my side.
Where do you see yourself doing this kind of work and reaching more people, especially in the underserved areas?
Okay,
nakuuliza nini, unajiona aje efforts zako hizi za ku reach one teach one in a few years, unaiona itakuwa na impact gani so far?
Okay, na believe maybe let's say in the next 2 years from now, I think niko na vision ya kukuwa na like my own class, like my own mentorship program. So neza mentor the others, our photographers wenye wana come. So design tu Jerry how to design photo start ufanya, how to leteanga mentors. So it's upon you kushika mentors, I walk na way through journey. So I'm seeing myself nikiwa one of those mentors, like nisaidie pia mimi place nilitoka.
Jerry, I'd love to know the place of internship, apprenticeship in terms of photography skills and storytelling. How do you navigate around those areas?
So we work with partnership. Partnerships is like one of my favorite things.
Yes.
Because tapping into networks. So as Photostart, our mandate is to teach. But you have, I'm a photographer. I have a whole association, like Photographers Association of Kenya.
Yes.
I tap into that and say, hey, may I have students? They want to learn sports photography. Who can come and have a master class? Now, the keywords tutumia kwa class ni kujituma.
Kujituma ndio.
Bas, ukishona mentor, unaona anaweza kumlenda pelekana naye. Shikilia. Because that's now what people have been doing. So we bring in mentors, they have master classes, and then if we see someone is going in this direction, we send them to someone.
Yes.
Now they have practical on the job training.
Yes.
And then now from there kujituma kwako ndio kutakusaidia. Yeah.
The idea ni kujituma tu.
Yes.
Yes. Now, are there ethical guidelines and responsibilities that anyone telling stories from the perspective of the slum areas should know about?
Yes. The key word is safeguarding. Safeguarding should be at the top of your mind.
Yes.
Whether it's the vulnerable, whether it is children, whether it is women, whatever situation it is, we're not to profit out of the suffering of others, which has been the thing that has been going on. Remember the story of the baby and the vulture? That is, it's like one of the iconic award-winning images. But because ethics says, journalistic ethics says we do not interfere or intervene in the story. But there has to be, like, at the top of your mind, how to safeguard whoever you are photographing. So if it's stills that you're in control of, just find a way to just shift your perspective within the storytelling. And if something that you cannot really intervene, maybe it's like a riot or whatever, we have to either safeguard ourselves first, and then now figure a way to tell that story that maintains the dignity of the subject that you're photographing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bwana Felix, your parting shot, tunaweza ambia mayouth especially when you wanatafuta easy skills.
Okay, one, photography inalipa. Like, people are running through it. Mini example moja. Number two, photography to pay you, lazima build brand yako. So, uta-invest time mob na resources at that point bila ingine kukame. So, utakuwa unatoa, lakini siku itaanza kulipa, utasikia vizuri.
Yes.
So, to my youth, neza encourage moso hizi ma slums. Tukwe tuna hizi skills, na tuneza nini na photo start to join program. So, hiyo ni direction poa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jerry, your parting shot.
Changing the narrative a photo at a time. So if we can partner with organizations that are youth-based on the ground, we can spread the gospel of visual storytelling further and further, and open up opportunities that would ordinarily not be open to the youth in such underserved areas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. There you have it. I've been talking to Njeri Muchira, who is also part of Photostat Media, and Felix Ragen, who is a former student and peer trainer. The topic has been storytelling through the lens, especially in the slum areas. And one thing that I've learned is we are changing the narrative one photo at a time. This segment comes to a close now. I have been your host, Mike Migwe. Good Morning Kenya takes a short break. We'll be right back.
To tell this story, we had to locate the main stars, a collection of nostalgia all in one place, a technological wormhole that is an envy of every enthusiast. Unknown to some, this treasure is domiciled at the Multimedia University of Kenya's ICT Museum.
Hello there. Welcome to one of the first telephone operation centers in the country. These manual communication boards formed the basis for call centers in the country between 1940s and the 1990s. Hello? You want me to connect you to where?
This museum was set up because our history is in the telecommunications field. Since MMU was formed, then people do not know about multimedia, but we are one of the first higher education centers.
It is here that we see how in the early 1960s, Kenya took its first steps into the digital realm. the era of typewriters like these ones. And when the internet was introduced in the early 1990s, these computers were the hallmark of any office that wanted serious work done. Back then, only electronic mail was available. The pioneers of this digital revolution were Kenyans, returning from overseas, expatriates, international government and non-governmental organizations.
We used to have great walls by then for some rich families in the village. So that's the only way we could be able to access even TV. I think it was KBC, this TV, it's the only one in our village.
So when we talk about ICT in Kenya and the trend or its trajectory from when it began in 1980s, we can also trace it back. ICT, we can trace it back to 1960s and 70s. The freedoms in America, the women movement, all of them are about freedom.
These tech pioneers did well to usher Kenya into the late 1970s. Kenyans were introduced to a new era of data processing, laying the foundation for more to come.
Someone was sending money to you. You either had to come collect it via matatu, you come and pick them and go back. Or the money is sent via matatu, and then you go to that place and collect that money.
When it was the Stone Age, people were comfortable just going around and eating. Then that became obsolete and they went to the agricultural era. But today we are in the information era.
This was the password for those days.
And in mid-1990s, the ICT sector began to witness a dramatic turnaround. By 1999, a new telecom law was passed, establishing a multi-operator environment.
In fact, for those who have been here for a long time, they say that this is the home of Safaricom, because Safaricom was conceptualized here, because it was a new technology coming in.
The introduction of mobile telephony and the rapid penetration of mobile phone access resulted in considerable improvement in the lives of Kenyans. As we look to the future, the Kenya National Digital Master Plan 2022-2032 provides a blueprint for leveraging and deepening the contribution of ICT to accelerate economic growth by leveraging tech startups.
We're talking about IT now, we're talking about software, we're talking about the hardware, we're talking about the networking, we're talking about now AI, machine learning. All these areas are areas which our young people who are in this IT and the communication space would like to learn and know.
I believe we shall be able to employ a lot of developers and a lot of employees from Kenya, and thus we shall be able to maintain our status quo as being the Silicon Savannah.
But what are some of the challenges that bedevils the ICT sector in Kenya, and what can we do to make sure that the heritage that is being brought to us is maintained for future generations?
Innovators, yes, there are many forums, various, not very many, but they have opportunities to showcase what they have. But we don't have a deliberate pathway for commercialization and also ensuring that the innovator is factored in.
From the word of those taking part and making a living from Kenya's ICT system, we can harness the power of ICT to drive our economy and positively impact lives. From its humble beginnings to its current status as a key driver of the economy, ICT is a testament to the power of innovation. Alan Auko, Prime Edition.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Good Morning Kenya on KBC Channel 1. And now we shift gears to matters women at the forefront. And we are looking at mental health advocacy, especially in fashion and modeling. And in studio today to help me with this conversation is none other than Winrose Kenya, who is a professional model and Miss Tharaka Nithi County. And she is also a mental health advocate, a very important advocacy here, and also a student at the university, at the Cooperative University of Kenya. Karibu sana to the studio.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Uko salama?
Kabisa.
Maybe to start with, You're a professional model.
Yeah, sure.
How did you get into modeling?
Okay, I started my modeling journey back in 2018. That I was in Form 1 at Morgana Girls High School. That time modeling was not, I was not so perfect, but I used to work hard. After finishing Form 4, I decided to become a professional model.
Nice.
That's where I joined Cooperative University. In Cooperative University, we have a modeling club for us who are doing fashion models, commercial, and beauty pageant model. That's how I got to grow my talent. And last year I got the title for Miss County Tharaka Nithi, and here I am.
Talk about that title for Miss Tharaka Nithi County. How was the competition? How did you get into that pageantry?
Okay, it was first advertised on Instagram, and then I decided to inbox the number that was on the poster. After inboxing, the competition was on February date 4. The competition was stiff, and the pressure was worse.
Yes.
But I had to work hard, train to make sure in every competition you must be outstanding.
Yes.
So I had to look for my strength where I'm outstanding to outstand others. And date 4 of April, I managed to be the Miss County Tharaka Nithi.
Nice. Now, let's talk about how now you use fashion modeling into your mental health advocacy. So how did you into that?
Okay, as a model, you have to major on something. Like Winnie Robert, I decided to major on mental health advocacy, and as a mental health advocacy, I'm here to help people who are suffering.
Let me cut you short, and we'll just be we'll heading to KICC, where the Diaspora Investment Conference is happening, and President William Ruto is set to grace the event right now. We head now to KICC.
Each level of government has a responsibility of implementing the functions assigned to it. A quick glance at the functions of county governments indicates a huge responsibility for the production and service sectors. These functions include crop and livestock production and fisheries, early childhood education and childcare facilities, cultural activities, public entertainment and public amenities, county planning and development, including housing, trade development and regulation, including local tourism and cooperatives, healthcare services, county roads, street lighting and public road transport, soil and water conservation and forestry, water and sanitation, solid waste management services. Implementation of these services and others whose details we shall share with during the county government session on Friday have been revolutionary. For example, before 2013, you had to visit the city of Nairobi or a major municipality in this country to experience the beauty of streetlights. Courtesy of county governments, streetlights are in all the counties, including